ACES interviews. Conversations to empower. Introducing Carrie Aimes.
Hello and welcome to ACES interview Conversations to empower. I'm Leo Coach Speaker. I'm joined today by Carrie Aimes, a 55-year-old disability blogger who writes to inform, educate, and raise awareness of congenital muscular dystrophy and the various effects of a community. Graduated in 2011 with a BA Honours degree in Art and English. Carrie was born with a very rare progressive form of congenital muscular dystrophy. She suffered from pregnant fatigue and respiratory issues due to her declining health. Thank you so much for joining me, Carrie. Today, for blogger, I was wondering what is kind of the message that you most like to portray in your writing?
I think for me, it's most important to raise awareness, really, more so of lesser known disabilities. I mean, mine is particularly rare. Even doctors haven't heard of it. They frankly haven't got a clue. So, reaching the wider community is, as you might imagine, quite a challenge. And frankly, a lot of people, unless they're directly affected, are not that interested. It's not cool or stylish or trendy, is it really, to talk about disability and the harsh realities of disability. So it can be a bit of a slog, and at times it can be a bit disheartening, to be quite honest. But that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not interested in likes or follows or popularity or stats or anything like that. I just want to, get the message out there, try and reach people that are in the same sort of situation, who might be feeling alone or helpless or, need support and don't know where to go. If I can reach just, one person, that's, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I completely agree with reaching one person, and if you can help that one person who may be experiencing something similar or struggle that you are, then you can really impact that person. And I think when you were talking then, I was just thinking that I feel like recently, although disability awareness has slowly progressed, especially within the media, I feel like what we see is only a particular kind of group of disability, which is more not appealing but more easier for people to understand. And if you don't fit in that bracket, you're kind of left out of it. And I would like to see kind of awareness of more disability. You were saying your disability, congenital muscular disability, your disability is rare, and it would be nice to see more awareness and more information and understanding about those rare kind of disabilities.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have this conversation quite often with various people, other disabled people, bloggers, all sorts. And, I feel like it's a bit of a controversial thing to say, really. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying in that what you see in the media and, the rare instances of representation, it is kind of a niche pool, and it is the same sort of, people over and over again, and it doesn't really represent the wider scale of disability. And I think if you're not sort of familiar with, disabled people, if you don't know disabled people, if you're not related to disabled people, you might watch things on TV and think, oh, well, that represents everybody with a disability. And of course, it doesn't. I certainly feel underrepresented. I don't think I've ever seen anybody, close to how my life is represented in film or TV shows or anything, so it can be a bit isolating in a way.
And feel kind of a bit harsh to say it. I'm sure this is not the case in all situations, but I feel like in the media particularly, it had to be disability, need to be kind of palatable for
Yeah,
the mainstream. So, just in my case, for instance, the people will find it more awkward to see someone who moves around a lot and that has moved like my dad and my speech. I have a speech impediment that go into I feel like the media finds that harder to show because maybe people may react, may find it more uncomfortable rather than certain other disabilities which are seen as more approachable.
yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head there with the word palatable. I think that's exactly it. I think what you see in the media is a palatable version of disability. I mean, I don't think I'm particularly palatable. Maybe that's just me. But yeah, I think people are a bit, when it comes to things like ventilators or seeing disabled people that, with carers, you don't see people with carers on the TV, do you? It's always sort of independent, I can live my life to the fullest. I've got no barriers, all of this, and which is great. But for a lot of disabled people, that isn't the case. And we have a lot greater needs, and that it just isn't shown.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you never see people with the help of a plate or equipment like you said, ventilators or other specialized equipment. You very rarely see.
Yeah, it's I think we've got a long way to go with that, and I'm not sure we'll ever see it, to be quite honest. I hope we do, but I certainly think we've got a long way to go.
So do I, and good to see, I think, in social media, digital creators who are, out there making content about their lives and who are happy to show, there's maybe less palatable, parts of their life because important was to see and to understand and for everyone to feel like their life matters.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything you're saying. Totally.
So my next question is, what do you find empowering?
Oh gosh, this is too deep. I think uh, two things really. I mean, firstly, having the platform that I do have, as small scale as it may be, it empowers me, I think, to be able to share my thoughts, feelings, experiences, and to be able to reach those people that I mentioned before. I mean, I get quite a lot of DMs, particularly from parents, with kids of the same condition. And it is empowering to think, well, I can connect with them without social media, without that platform. I would never be able to reach those people. I think also I do think there's pressure on disabled people to sort of prove themselves, prove their worth in society. What do we contribute, more so than able-bodied people. I know that's how I felt growing up anyway. I always felt insecure, very much lacking in confidence. I always felt not good enough in every area of life, really. And sort of growing up and seeing friends get married, have careers, buy their own houses, have kids, and I wasn't sort of paralleling that, and I felt less than. But I think now I've reached a stage where I'm sort of, I don't really care. I think acceptance goes a long way. I think you just have to accept that, we're all at different stages, different abilities. Some people are just not able to do those things, and that's okay. It's not a bad thing to not be able to have a career or own your own home or drive a car. Some people just can't do that, and that's okay. And I think that comes down to accepting who we are.
Yeah, I agree. I think acceptance of all disability, all limitations, um, it's a big thing to I will get say get over, but I don't think that would work worth it because I think like you may have to get your head around it several times. And I think, as you say, with life stages, as a, as disabled people, as we grow up and we see our peers meet um, to the life stages, like meet their partner, buy a house, get married, have a career. I think each time we see that, like as human beings, obviously, we do compare the natural, but
Yeah.
it can be um it can be tough to get your head around the fact that you will be not able to maybe meet milestones like your peers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you said, I'm 35 now. All my friends that I grew up with, they're all married. They got their own homes, kids, etc. All the things that I suppose society expects people of that age to do. I don't have any of that. I really, really did struggle with that for the majority of my life, really. But as I say, I think I've come sort of since I hit 30. Really, it's just you just have to accept this is your lot, make the best with what you have got. If you can't do things, you need to get over it and focus on the things you can do.
Exactly. Because circling back to what you said as a blogger, you often get people reaching out to you in your DM, and you as in particularly parents of children with the same disability, and I'm sure that connection you have with those parents and the information or support that you can give to them is really, really valuable. And, there won't be a lot of people who are in the position like yourself that can help people in that way.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're sort of few and far between, which I suppose it's a good thing in one way. But yeah, there are. I mean, when I was a kid, there was no social media, there was no Facebook, there was nothing. As I said before, doctors are pretty clueless. still are. So when I was growing up, there was literally nothing. We had nothing to go on, no guidance, nobody to connect with. It was so different to what it is today. I mean, I have my issues with social media, but in that way, it is massively beneficial.
Yeah, exactly. It means that people can connect and be able to share experiences and awareness that, like you said, when we were growing up, because we're roughly similar age, wasn't really available to us. My next question is, what difference would you like to see or make in the world?
Had to really think about this. I think my answer would probably change from day to day, to be honest. I should probably say like world peace or something, shouldn't I? But I think we are heading in, into scary times really, with especially the NHS the way it is. I think inevitably its days are numbered. I think services for disabled people, services, support, resources, it's all getting less and less, especially for adults and those with higher care needs. These, you've only got to go on the Facebook disability groups, go online on the forums. You'll see people talking about it every day. The struggle to get care, support, just basic things to live our lives. It is becoming less and less, and I think it is scary. And I don't really know how that's going to be resolved or if it's going to be resolved. But I like to think that it can be somehow. I don't know. But yeah, I think we need a bit more empathy, a bit more compassion. I think people these days can be quite sort of self-centered and maybe focused on the wrong things a bit. They live their lives on social media. They're more concerned about likes and follows and all of that sort of thing rather than actually engaging with the people around them. I think we need to put our phones down a bit more and actually have a chat, talk to the people we care about. Are you okay? I mean, again, when I was young, we didn't have phones or anything, and it was a lot simpler life. It was nicer. And it would be nice to go back to that. I think just simpler, happier, kinder times.
Yeah, it definitely does feel that, although, technology are improving, and you would have thought that the advances would help the little people, and they do help. But then when you think of the human aspect, and
Yeah,
like you said, those of us that need personal assistance and carers, you know, I know, um, I know myself it's so very, very hard to find carers nowadays.
yeah,
It
it is.
seems to be almost impossible now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I have the same struggle. I mean, I've been employing my own carers for 17 years now. And it used to be, I don't want to say easy, but considerably easier than it is now. As you say, it can be near impossible. You can advertise for months and get nothing. And it does feel a bit, these days it's more of a case of you have to take what you can get rather than, who's necessarily the best for the job. It's just take what you get, and deal with it.
Yeah, I completely disagree. I also employ um private people, and it
Yeah.
seems so hard to get people. And like you said, you need to be able to advertise and get quite a good response. And now I think get shifted kind of the ideas of what people want to do. And I think what you said about social media, and I think it ends up more digital and, working from home because of COVID, that also affects everything, I think, a lot more. So, yeah, I think it is a real worry for people that need assistance. You know, is it that now? Is it going to get worse, or is
Yeah,
someone somewhere in power going to do something and make things easier for us?
yeah, this is it. It's, it's only going to go two ways, isn't it? It's either going to get worse or it's going to get better. Um, yeah, like you mentioned, I think we need to maybe change those in power. Hopefully that happens. But again, that doesn't bring any certainties regarding, services and support for disabled people. I do think we're sort of often pushed to the bottom of the pile when it comes to, priorities, funding, all the rest of it. I think disabled people are very much, disregarded and, we're sort of considered to not bring anything to the community, which of course isn't the truth. But I think that's what a lot of people think. And so we are pushed to the side.
Yeah, I feel like a bit of the gap because I feel like services for children are there, and then
Yes.
for the elderly, because as we all know, we have a growing elderly com- uh, community now. But then if you're disabled and you also have between kind of, I don't know, 18 and 67, then you're a bit kind of left, really.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, as you say, child services are there. There's a fair amount of support for kids with disabilities, but I think as soon as you hit 18, it does feel like literally the day you hit 18, they sort of say, right, off you go on your own, deal with it yourself. And there's nothing, there's absolutely nothing. It doesn't matter what level of care needs you have, you are very much on your own. And of course, if you're not able to work, how do you get the funding for chairs, hoists, care, all the rest of it?
Yeah, and I was talking to someone the other day about kind of work. I think, you know, generally disabled people do want to work. They do
Yeah,
want to contribute. They do want to be part of it. But our system is just not get up for us. And it doesn't opportunity for people who are highly educated, can easily do something if it was accessible
yeah,
originally adjusted. But because of the way the world is not adaptable, and so people who do want to do something can't.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as you say, I think the vast majority, if not all, disabled people want to work. We want to contribute, even if it's in a voluntary capacity. Um, but there's either not the availability there, people don't want to take us on, or the environment's not suitable. I mean, in my 20s, well, sort of, from college years, I applied for God knows how many jobs, hundreds. I sent hundreds of job applications out, went for God knows how many interviews. And I mean, we're going back a while now, things have changed in terms of equality and whatnot. But back then, people just didn't want to give you the chance. They didn't want to give you that initial opportunity. You roll in your wheelchair and they look at you and think, nah. and it's, again, it is disheartening, but what do we do? If the opportunities aren't there, what do we do?
And I think we kind of done a bit of a circle back to kind of what we were talking about at the beginning, which is like the acceptable disability that we see and that we kind of in the media and maybe that reasonable judgment that people going about at work are meant for, they capable a certain type of disability
Mm-hmm.
and not all disabilities.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, if you apply for a job or whatever it is and put that you have a disability, or tell them that you have a disability, that they might assume that you're a lot more able than you are. Certainly in my case, I think even on things like dating apps, I mean, that's completely unrelated, but if you put that you're in a wheelchair or disabled, they think, oh, Paralympian, no, that's not me. But then they meet you and they're like, oh, and the sort of realization hits home that you are a lot more disabled than they might have assumed. And it's, I think that is owing to the fact that there is that lack of representation out there.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It believes in that at the aspect of society and people's expectation, dating, work. Yeah, dating is particularly disheartening, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, disheartening. Yeah, to put it mildly. Yeah, I mean, I was never a big dating app person. I spent about 2 months on Hinge 5 years ago, and that's only because a friend set up the account. But yeah, that's massively hit and miss. More so miss. Again, I think a lot of people assume that you're going to be a Paralympian, super independent, inspiring, breaking all these records and whatnot. And no, that's not me at all. I think you might meet people, go on dates, and you can see their face drop. Literally, you can see they're like,
Mm.
oh, she really is disabled, and it does kind of put you off. But that's life, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems to be the way it is at the moment. One can hope that as disabled representation and awareness grows, that people may actually start to diversify their image of the disability. So, so I wonder, you have your own blog. So, would you like to tell listeners watching a bit more about your blog?
I started my blog. I think it was 2016, and that was again because a friend sort of nudged me. Really, I was a bit lost, after uni. As I said before, I'd applied for all these jobs and got nowhere. No one wanted to give me a chance in the work environment. So a friend sort of said, do your blog, write about your life, write about your experiences. And I started it thinking, well, it's not gonna go anywhere. No one's gonna read it. No one's gonna look at it. And it's progressed from there. I've done interviews with various, notable disabled figures. There's a lot of reviews, there's information, personal stories, some funny, some not so funny. There's advice, guidance. There's a bit of all sorts, really. Again, with the primary aim to sort of raise awareness, and sort of present the realities of life with a disability, all the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between.
That how can people find the blog and also connect with you?
I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. My handle is @ClaimsUK. All my information's on there. You'll find it at the top, the links. My website is lifeontheslowlane.co.uk. Yeah, probably Instagram is where I'm most active these days. So if you can find me on Instagram, you'll find everything else on there.
Right, and I'll share all those links when this interview goes out. So
That's great.
thank you so much, my guest Carrie Aimes, and thank you to everybody who watched this. Check out all the other conversations and find out about my coaching and speaking at leah.co.uk, and Ace Interviews will be back soon with another valuable conversation. Bye for now.
Thanks for watching and listening to Ace's interviews. Find out more about Carrie Aimes in the show notes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow.